Hello my beautiful Pisces, and welcome back to Intuitive Energies. My name is Jane and I do readings for Pisces. So what we're looking at today is the King of Swords, and when I make joy a priority, brilliant ideas will come naturally, support will surround me, and movement will form. Again, I feel a lot of air energy coming in, but today we're talking about what is blocking you in this energy that you're in. And sometimes movement, fear of moving or moving too fast can be something that really scares us. Of course it does. Change is hard. Change is never easy. So we're going to look at these energies. I'm going to start with the King of Swords for a reading, and I'm going to do one later on with this beautiful card about joy. Again, talking about joy and happiness. All this week, they're really prioritizing on the way you feel inside, on how you're going to manifest what's coming up. So joy is a thing. I mean, if you look at it yesterday, the Queen of Wands, the Sun, all of these optimistic, the light, the shining, the star, everything is pointing towards that optimistic, brilliant glow of love and joy, helping you take flight, helping you go beyond. So we're just following the theme. All of this week it feels pretty much like the same, saying over and over again. The thing with the King of Swords is he is somebody who doesn't really taps into his feelings, but you aren't an air sign. You are a water sign, which is all about emotions. So it's taking that air sign approach of seeing the bigger picture, but then infusing it in joy and light. And that's really going to be like a Kickstarter moment for you. It's really going to push you in the right direction. Okay, so we're going to pull some cards here, Pisces. The Chess Queen, trust, strategizing, like that. So really fitting in with the King of Swords because he is good at strategy. He's awesome at it. He really knows what he is doing when it comes to that. And we did have the Emperor yesterday, and in the Light Seers Tarot, you see a man sitting with a chess piece in his hand and a chessboard at his feet. So very appropriate, okay, the way it is being. The Hangman is your first card out. Two of Cups. Knight of Wands. And the Queen of Cups in reverse. Two of Pentacles. Justice. Seven of Pentacles. Nine of Pentacles in reverse. Queen of Wands in reverse, and Temperance. So we had quite a few reverse cards, but it is a day of block. So That is most likely why we have so many cards in these positions. The Nine of Pentacles and the Queen of Wands especially. It's a little bit because of this King of Swords. Usually the King of Swords is something that is a very positive thing. And I still think it, especially because it was in yesterday's reading. And I do believe the day before. I feel like we've seen the King of Swords a lot this week. The thing is that with the King of Swords, as I said, is that it's not somebody who's really in touch with their emotions. They're super in touch with their mind. They are like somebody who is like somebody direct, somebody you know, if you're a Star Trek person, this is Spock, okay? He's highly intelligent, great at deductive reasoning, and no nonsense, intense focus on what needs to be done. But when it comes to tapping into the emotions of the self, there's a distance there that is it's very close there. So as much as we want to kind of really tap in and focus on what needs to be cut through and all the crap, you know, with I see the sword cutting through, you know, like clean through the different stages. We have to remind ourselves that life is most enjoyed and really fulfilling when we tap into our emotions, to love, to joy, okay, and contentment. If you're too stuck on trying to strategize, which is the card that came in, you're going to end up getting stuck again, okay? Because you're going to get into the area of the mind where we tend to get stuck very often. And sometimes we're people who polarize very much. This is trying to get us to mix and intertwine the things. I'll give you an example. If I'm planning a trip for us, I'll try to make sure that, let's say I plan for me and other people, I want to make sure that they're enjoying and that the schedule is all good, and I get very King of Swords. But sometimes I forget that it's not just about the itinerary. It is about the pure enjoyment and the allowance of letting things in that may want to come in. You know, if you're calculating every single minute, you're not always leaving time for the experience to be enjoyed, or to let the experience breathe and let spontaneous things come in. So, and when you're planning it, you also like to plan it within joy and heart space. It's not just organization. But I tend to focus on one thing at a time. So I feel that this reading is like telling you, when you're planning stuff or when you're doing stuff and you start getting polarized by the King of Swords, that's going to ultimately probably block you. If you hit a snag, you're going to get stressed out, because we had a lot of the Nine of Swords and the Ten of Swords coming in. It's time to release that stuff and practice more on a fulfillment-based, bigger picture. And that's this. When you're strategizing, and it also says trust here. This is the word that you gotta, it's small and it's in little letters. Trust that everything that you're doing is good, and give yourself a space or room to let in joy, happiness, and contentment in your planning. It's balancing it out. So this will be hard for me as well, Pisces, because when I'm focused on one thing, I'm focused on one thing. If I'm focused on something that is utilizing air energy, like my mind, if I'm focusing on passion, I'm focused on passion. If I'm focused on emotion, I like to separate them. But in this case, they're trying to say, try to mix it up. It'll serve you a lot better if you're capable of mixing the different elements together. You're going to make a beautiful combination that's going to be a lot easier for you. Okay? Right. So the Hangman is exactly that. It's saying perspective. Change it around. Okay? Add an element of, you know, what the heck? you know, to your planning. So, and the Two of Cups, it's like harmonizing with the two different, the receiving and the action part of you, the Two of Cups. Okay, the masculine and the feminine. It's I will act and I will plan, and then the receiving is to just, you know, walk around and take in the sights, you know, and just let it come in, let the ambiance, let the sensation of it. Give yourself some time. Don't be rushing the masculine to the next thing. Make sure you have plenty of time to receive in the event that you planned. See? And I'm using like a, you know, a trip as an example if you have certain things that you like to do during this trip. The Knight of Wands is saying that this is going to bring a lot of challenges. Because like I said before, you're wanting to, you get very ambitious and you want to do, you know, a lot. But there's a lot of communication between your energies that's going to take place. That's going to help you a lot. And that's what I mean. There's the masculine, there's the feminine, okay? The Queen of Cups, she's in reverse. You got to flip her around. You got to give a little on this side and you got to take a little on this side. Bring it just back. It's not a whole lot. You're doing good with the King of Swords because they're powerful. They've got a lot of master energy. But you got to make sure to bring in a little more of the receiving, a little more of the emotion. Don't close yourself off. So it's juggling. Absolutely, it's juggling. The perspective is juggling the feminine and the masculine. Absolutely. And then you will get a more of a give and take. The Justice card is about balancing out the scales. And that's what you're going to bring in. Okay? Your Knight is going to acquiesce a little bit. And your Queen is going to take in more a little bit. And suddenly things are going to feel a lot better. So it's going to need a little bit of your Seven of Pentacles. This year is all about assessing. Exactly. Assess. How am I handling this? And you know what? I'm going to tell you something. When you're starting to do something and you're heavily working on something, check in with yourself. And this is where these come in right here. The Nine of Pentacles and the Queen of Wands. If the fruit of your rewards do not feel good, this is going to be in reverse. If your Queen of Wands is in reverse and you're not feeling the vibrancy and the inspiration and everything that comes, that light of that joyful demeanor, then you've got to check in with your energy again. And I wouldn't say play with it, but it's actually, that's what it is. You actually have to say, like, all right, it's like pushing buttons, you know, in the different energies. I've got too much air, and I've got not enough heart. So it's like I'm going to take back here and push more here. You can literally do it in a meditative state. I've got to, you know, I've used a lot of my mind here, and that's great, but I'm not feeling the joy of it. So how can I infuse more joy now? How can I make this more fun? How can I make it more passionate and fun and creative and inspiring? That makes me feel confident and feel like I'm actually getting something back. So you're going to have to juggle those. Bring them back into balance. Juggle it out. Okay? There's a lot of assessment. All of this is about balancing, rebalancing, assessment. The whole middle row is telling you that's all you've got to do to fix this. That's it. I know it sounds like, yeah, that's it. It's not just that's it. And then again, you have another balanced out with Temperance. What is the Temperance telling you? Put a little water into your wine. Mix it up a little bit. Okay? Mix up the energies. And really tap into yourself. If I find myself doing some kind of work that's supposed to be fun, like let's say planning a trip, and I find myself stressing and getting all kinds of like pains and aches because I'm overthinking, then there's just not okay. There is an administrative part of planning things. And yes, that doesn't have to be overly joyful. But if it becomes too much work and stressful, you need to check in with yourself. So I use planning a trip as an example. You can use it for anything. Anything that you're planning, anything that you're working on. It could be working on yourself. And granted, if you're doing cleaning in your house, that's not always like a fun job. But you can call a friend, tell them what you're doing, invite a friend over. Sometimes it's easier to do stuff with a friend. Sometimes it's easier to do stuff with a friend when you're talking to them on the phone. Sometimes I like to call family members. Like I'll have one of my guys sit with me while I'm going through things. Not my underwear drawer, but you know, my stuff. It's like, and have a conversation. It feels like things get done faster. My energy levels feel better. And when I'm done, I feel like I've had a conversation with somebody, reconnected, with lost time while I'm trying to do something. And I got something accomplished and had a conversation. Everything kind of gets better. So get yourself into different situations and see how you can, make it different. Shift the perspective. That's the main card in this reading. Shift it so that it feels better. Okay? So more into receiving, so that's going within. That's assessing the situation and seeing how you can bring the happy back into the surface so that you can rebalance the energy. Just shifting the perspective, juggling things, adapting it so that the fruits of your labor don't feel like they came at a cost. That is the biggest thing. You don't want to feel like it came at a cost or that the scales are so off, okay? You want to keep the balance. You want to make it feel okay. If you can't make it feel joyful, at least make it feel okay instead of a big burden. All right, so we've been dealing today with the challenges of the energies that are coming in. And I hope that this has helped you and made you see maybe in a different way and maybe go in and try to figure out how to switch those gears. Thank you so much for being here. And I'm going to come back and do a second reading later on. That's it for me for now. Love, light, and blessings. Take care.